And away we go. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk. It is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today. We'll take a look at some clips from the news, have a little bit of dialogue with those of you who are able to join us for the live portion. And of course, if you are listening somewhere else and you wanted to join us for the live portion, you can find us Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat and fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. As we get ready to dive off, being joined here by my friend Daniel in the background. You can see Daniel, some of you can see Daniel sitting in the chair back there grooming himself. Of course, Daniel's one of our rescue cats. He's nice and comfortable right now. I do naturally read through as many comments as is reasonable for the benefit of those of you who are listening and not able to see. So I'll go ahead and say hello to some of the people that have joined us here thus far. I see Donna Beaver is here, who reminds us, thumbs up, like, and share. Please do. Tuck also says the same thing. Helter is here. Where are we? Legends is here. Dragon is here. Monkey. Fluke Man. Brian. Chris. As we get ready to jump off here, Legends wants to know, is a Lyme disease vaccine worth it for dogs if they are on NextGuard Plus? Probably not, but I would read the NextGuard Plus, and I would also watch out for a lot of those pet vaccines. They're about as sketchy as human ones, and it's not like the dog or cat can tell you something is wrong. You know what I mean? Some of them have some nasty side effects, just like with people. And Nature Nerd wants to know, how effective is union picketing? Probably not very, because I watched the mechanics union get completely shut down when I was in Illinois. They were, I think it was the Toyota plant, or no, some dealerships. They were protesting at the dealerships, and they were out there sitting in the lawn chairs with the big inflatable rat and all that. They were out there for 2 years, and then the plant shut down their repair service departments in the auto dealerships, and those guys were just plain out of work. So I'm not so sure how effective that is. And JJ has joined us as we get ready to jump into the news and see what the hell is going on in the world. One more here, That's Life, has joined us. Says, good evening, inmates. Good evening. Where are you, That's Life? That it's evening. Top news of the hour, of course, and we're going to go to the Telegraph to take a look at it. And that is Ryan Wesley Ruth. Why Ryan Wesley Ruth? Very interesting character when you start to actually dig into who this guy is. Then, of course, that is with the second attempt now on Donald Trump. Telegraph article, Ryan Wesley Ruth, the assassination suspect who flew to the Ukraine and urged Americans to join him. And I don't know why it is. I got to go to the Telegraph to get anybody talking about that. And here's a picture of him looking crazy. But they're not really mentioning it too much in the Western media so far. Okay? And you see him there. He's wearing an American flag shirt. He's got an American flag wrapped around his neck, and he's wearing body armor. This is the guy who made an attempt on Trump. The suspect in the second assassination attempt on Trump is a 58-year-old Florida resident who seemingly traveled to the Ukraine after Russia's invasion and became a champion for sending arms and American soldiers to help Kiev. Officials told the U.S. media the man taken into custody was Ryan Wesley Ruth, whose bio on X says, "I feel lucky," this is a quote, "feel lucky to have been born in America with freedom and opportunity, and hope that I do not waste such a valuable thing to do more and take less." Based on his social media profile, it seems that 2 years ago he traveled to the Ukraine in the aftermath of Russia's invasion and urged Americans to join him there. He also urged Congress to send money and arms. Quote, I am here in Kiev and want to use Independence Park to create a tent city of all the foreigners here in support of the thousands more foreign civilians that will come to support Ukraine. He writes on Twitter. Here's another shot of him here. Has a very forced smile. That's like the Cyndi Lauper smile, her fake Hollywood smile that she talks about or used to talk about. He likes dressing in American flags, evidently. Says, tweeting the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, he said, forget the no-fly zone. Ask Congress to put all American military on paid leave so they can fight. Ask Congress to put all American military on paid leave so they can fight as civilians in Ukraine. Blah, 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 blah. So this is the interesting bit. Okay, this guy gets picked up. He gets picked up. He's being charged. He's getting charged with an assassination attempt. And what does the U.S. media look like? And I'm going in a certain direction here because I actually found out a lot about this guy. Let's look at Western media. This is a Daily Mail article. Extraordinary number of times would-be Trump assassin donated to Democrats. Okay. The man named as the suspect in a possible assassination attempt near Donald Trump's Florida golf club had a history of donating to Democrats and posted about the former president losing the election. Ryan Wesley Ruth, 58, is in custody after he allegedly pointed an AK-47 at the former president while he was playing at the Trump International Golf Course in West Palm Beach. He is a registered Democrat and donated 19 times between September 2019 and March 2020. The Democratic Political Action Committee Act Blue Federal Election Commission filings have revealed. But and this is why I don't even care about this. The donations totaled more than $140. So he made 140 donations, $140 worth of donations, donating 19 times. So why is this what we're talking about in the U.S. media? There's a lot more interesting things about this guy. And I'll catch up a couple of comments here really quickly. Nature Nerd says, wow, 2-year strike is insane and pointless. Might as well move on with another job in life at that point. Yeah, they lost their jobs because I can't remember if it was Toyota. I think it was Toyota. They just said, okay, no more service centers in our dealerships, and the hell with you. And those guys lost their jobs. Monkey, thank you, Monkey. He says, don't forget the guy has an arrest history back in 2002 with him held up in his own business threatening cops. Yeah, he was arrested for possession of fully automatic weapons without the proper licensing, if I remember correctly. And more to the point, far more important than all of that, he's had more than 100 altercations with law enforcement. Why isn't that being talked about in the news? More than 100 altercations with law enforcement in the United States. Why isn't that being talked about? How about his court appearance this morning, where he sat there with his attorney, laughing and chumming it up with him? Had a good old time in court, laughing and smiling and acting carefree. The arresting officers talked about him. Take a look at how stoic he is in the arrest photos, where they're putting him in the back of the police car looking all smug, like the cat that swallowed the canary. It makes me think of Nicolas Cage in Lord of War, when he's sitting in the interrogation room with the agent. And he was like, let me tell you something. Anytime now, a man who very seriously outranks you is about to walk into this office, and he's going to tell you what a fantastic job you've done. And then he's going to confiscate everything you have on me. He's going to take me away. And then guess what? He's going to let me go. And he's going to pay me to do it. Because I expect to be paid for my time. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but you get the point if you saw the movie. That's what I'm kind of feeling like here with this guy. The arresting officer, what did he said? I think the term he used was perplexed. His demeanor was perplexing. He was so calm and so relaxed, and it's like, yeah, you're in a car with these weapons, and there was an assassination attempt, and you've been pulled over by police. And he's like, hey, officer, how you doing? There's something wrong there. Something's really wrong. He sat there in court. He sat there in court and said that he earns less than $3,000 a month, that he owns no property, no stocks. He doesn't own jewelry or anything like that, because they were trying to assess bail. Okay. He owns 2 trucks. They say he's a Florida resident. He owns 2 trucks, and they're in Hawaii. This guy has no money. How's he flying all over the country? How's he flying all over the world? He's getting income from somewhere. He's getting income from somewhere, and he's real comfortable. Would-be assassin, or what's the deal here? Wannabe mercenary in the Ukraine, recruiting people to come over there and fight? Monkey says he had a company called United Roofing. United Roofing. And then look at him with his American flag and his blue hair. Hey, dude. And his bulletproof vest. And apparently he has a big profile on like X and Facebook and whatever. I think that's all a lot more interesting than making 19 donations to the Democratic Party totaling $140. $140. That's not a big deal. That's not a big deal. But he's very calm. He's very calm for somebody who's in as much trouble as he is. Unless he just expects that he's just gonna fall out from under this, or some other arrangements have been made. Some other deal. Oh yeah, I'll go sit in jail for a few years. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Monkey says he's a CIA asset, or 2, he was born in a rich family and had rich money to start with, so was just bored. And Frankie thinks he looks kind of like Jon Stewart. I don't know about that. But yeah, there's so much more interesting about what's going on with this guy than how many donations he made. And they're not talking about it. Again, he was smiling and laughing with his attorney in court and having a good time. And look it up. I'm serious. Oh, I don't have any. I make $3,000 a month. How are you flying back and forth to Ukraine? How did you get to Florida? How are you a Florida resident, but anything that you own, any assets you actually have, are in Hawaii? Dude, tell me something here. And Nature Nerd says he's being sponsored. Yeah, you could say that. Oh, Monkey says that he ran for mayor in Honolulu once. That's interesting. See, I hadn't heard that. I had not heard that. But that's all very interesting. And the guy's 58 years old. He's 58 years old. Incredible. Incredible. And you know what that's burying here? That's burying the other story that came up on Friday. And we talked about it Friday, and I wanted to follow it up. And I have to go all the way to the Hindustan Times to get any information on it. And that's the whistleblower from ABC. Heard anything about that today? Anything at all? Except for claims that the alleged whistleblower died in an auto accident mysteriously, but they debunked that claim and said that that isn't true, that someone made that up. Hindustan Times, viral ABC whistleblower affidavit makes shocking claims. Bill Aikman seeks a probe and finds allegations are credible. And this was put up this morning. This article went up this morning. Oh, and by the way, on the previous subject about the would-be assassination attempt, the governor of Florida is not satisfied with the way that the government is looking into the investigation, and he said he's going to run his own independent investigation alongside of what the government is doing. So back to the article. An affidavit purportedly from an anonymous ABC News whistleblower has sparked controversy after being circulated online. The document alleges close collaboration between the network and Kamala Harris's campaign leading up to the recent debate against Trump. Billionaire investor Bill Ackman reshared viral screenshots of the affidavit, tagging Disney CEO Bob Iger and calling for answers. Ackman expressed concerns, saying, quote, "I find the allegations credible as written, particularly because," and I had not heard this before. This is important because the affidavit was made the day before the debate and mentions details like Harris's smaller podium that only became public later. Though Ackman refrained from confirming the authenticity of the claims, he noted they are substantively match what unfolded during the debate, while also highlighting the moderator's silence as raising a negative inference. Ackman urged Disney to investigate the matter, stating, quote, "Our democracy depends on transparency, especially concerning events that can influence the outcome of a presidential election." And that's, I can't blow the image up, but this is pictures. Oh, maybe I can blow it up. Hold on a moment. Let me see if I can expand that and show the images of the affidavit. If I can get that. Okay, I think I can expand this, and I'm going to show it to you. There you go. Is that it? Yeah, that's let me see if I can get if I can get that a little closer, a little bit closer. Here we go. There's the affidavit. There's the affidavit, which came out before, apparently, the debate. And Monkey says there's a 2-year-old interview from the guy that was conducted by Newsmax Romania, and he speaks like a true schizo. Yeah, that's the best kind, because now he claimed to be crazy, and then you can just put him in the mental hospital for a few months instead of sending him to prison. I think that's all very interesting. But yeah, and I had not heard that before. I was not aware of the possibility that this could have come out before the interview process, before the debate, rather. And Jericho says they've heard multiple news reporters and politicians, and now the articles say this democracy. Thank you. I know where you're going with that, Jericho. We are not a democracy, and as you asked recently, if we're a democracy, where the hell is it? Yeah. They all say that. Are we going to preserve our democracy, and we're going to bring that democracy to the rest of the world? They don't want it because we don't have it here. Where the hell is it? I'm looking for it. I can't find it. Is it under the sofa cushions? Where's my democracy at? Did it fall down between the space between the seat and the panel in your car when you got to lift the seat out to get it? Where the hell is it? Did it fall into the gutter? I want to know where my democracy allegedly is. I want to know where it is. You can see here that a lot of this is redacted, including the name, except that you can see the first letter is obviously an I. Mine, oh no, it's my name is, excuse me, I retract that. My name is the real Slim Shady. I don't know who this person is, but we will see. Again, there are rumors that that individual has met with a tragic fate in a traffic accident. But the media is saying that that isn't true. And that's all I've seen of it in Western media over the weekend or today. And Frankie says you'll find democracy in the dictionary. Correct. And Chillin' Dave has joined us. Glad you could make it today. Glad you could make it today. Just in time to find out where our democracy is that they keep telling us about, even though I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be a republic. I don't know how we ended up with a democracy, but I'll take what I can get. Just actually give it to me. Actually give it to me instead of telling me I have it. What's the old adage? Don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining. Who remembers that one? We're going to jump to the New York Post. You'll love this. More coding bullshit. New York Post, Kamala Harris raises eyebrows with another mysterious accent at the Congressional Black Caucus dinner. She did it again, folks. She did it again. Another accent. She went to the Black Caucus, so naturally, now she has to try to sound black. Vice President Kamala Harris raised eyebrows, appearing to shift her accent once again during an address to the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation's Saturday night. Harris, who is 59, going on 90, she looks a lot older than that, seemingly briefly altered the tone of voice at the start of her remarks to the glitzy Washington, D.C. gala, where President Biden, 81, was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award. What's he done? 50 years in politics, what's he done? Please, someone explain it to me. Hello to all my divine nine brothers and sisters, Harris said with a laugh, a reference to the major fraternities and sororities at historical black colleges and universities. The only articles I've really seen about this is complimenting her sequin dress. They cost a fortune, by the way. Her sequin dress. I see that H12 has joined us. Glad you could make it today. As I do have the clip for this, so I can go ahead and play this. Hopefully, you can take this without your eyes watering. But here we go.
I have to say, it is so good to be back. And let me just say about Joe Biden, hello to all my divine nine brothers and sisters, and my sorors. And to all my HBCU brothers and sisters.
Yeah, that's enough of that. The thing actually that annoys me more than the shifting of the accent, which they are now calling coding. This is what the media calls it to justify it. Oh, she's just coding. And it's really a skill because then, you can address any kind of audience. And if anyone else did it, if Trump did that, you'd tear him to bits. You would tear him to bits in the media if Trump did that. If he had any kind of funky accent and he wasn't being sarcastic, like I just did making, doing a comic book guy from The Simpsons. Oh, you do not understand what Kamala Harris is trying to accomplish by shifting your voice like that. It's actually quite complicated. That's called sarcasm. That's not me pandering to nerds. I wouldn't insult them by doing that. JJ suggests that Joe's received a participation trophy. There you go. There you go. But it kills me how she laughs at everything that she says. And I wonder if part of that isn't almost like subconsciously she's laughing at how much the audience is eating it up. Boy, you people are so dumb. I got you right by the coconuts, and I just can't help it. You're so stupid. I wonder if that could be it. I wonder if that is it. And Dragon says she's looking down on black people. Yeah, well, apparently she is a black person, so she claims. And Helter says Kamala isn't a serious candidate. Imagine her facing Vladimir Putin. He'd laugh at her in the USA for electing that president. I don't know if he would sit down and talk to her. How could he take her seriously? And I see Dental is here, picking on me a little bit. Nature Nerd says we cannot have a cackling president. Oh, you might, so be careful. And Brian invoking comic book guy, worst president ever. Exactly. And then Prime Mover, how can we have this goofy bitch as president? How are other nations going to take her seriously? They're going to take her about as seriously as they took Biden, which is not at all. They're already laughing at us. You know this. They're already laughing at us. They're already making fun of us. And I showed the article a few weeks back. Remember, in the Russian history books, it states that the Democratic Party and Joe Biden stole the election from Donald Trump. It states that they used underhanded tactics to wrestle the presidency away. And we read that article and showed, you can't read the Russian, but we showed it. We showed the books. There he is, Black Caucus. And Marvel Fan is here. Glad you could make it. Glad to have you join us here today. I mean, we're, like it or not, we're looking at the very real possibility here. And, you know, there are people who are wondering if the attempts on Trump keep happening because they don't think they can steal this one and get away with it. Because if something happened to Trump, what's left? Kennedy? Nobody's going to vote for him. Nobody's going to take Kennedy seriously. How can they? But that's the question. And again, the laughing and the accents and everything, I'm not impressed by that at all. I'm tired of the media trying to convince us that it's somehow clever of her, or that that's a skill. That's not a skill. That's looking down on the people you're talking to. As I've said before, how I'm talking now, it's how I always speak. I don't do baby talk, especially with adults. You don't need me to talk to you in whatever accent you have from wherever you're from for you to understand what I'm saying. It's insulting. It's insulting. Like I said, you know, sometimes for the purpose of humor or sarcasm, I might do an accent, but I'm not going to sit there and address people that way. And I haven't known Trump to do that either. I've only ever seen politicians really doing that, and mostly females, primarily female politicians are the ones that come out with that switch their accents and try to sound like they're from somewhere else. Monkey says that they think it's like I said, that she's laughing at the audience and realizing, man, I have such useful idiots. That could be. Her laughter in instances like that could be a Freudian slip. Instead of sitting there saying, wow, you guys are so bought in, she'll laugh. Laughs at them. Laugh at their foolishness, at their ignorance. Educated idiots. A degree doesn't mean that you're smart. It means you have a lot of trivia. You know a lot of things. And what does trivia mean? Look at the classical definition of trivia. In the old dictionaries, it says useful information, or useless information. Marvel Fan says, I don't want her to win, but if she does, people need to learn what's coming. It'll also be selling more in cash at cons or private pickups. Or I'll also be selling more. Yeah. And they'll sit there and they'll regret it like they did with Obama. I heard many stories from people about how after the Obama administration, they're like, I voted for that guy and that was a huge mistake. There was a lot of stories and articles about that. But you still did it. You'll still probably do something like that again. And it's not like you can turn around and fix it. You're stuck for 4 more years. You're stuck for 4 more years, and all you can do is pray that the next person does better. And that some of what the damage is can be walked back, which isn't very likely. Monkey says the fact that there are people that seriously want her in is terrifying and wants their country to be destroyed quickly. They all want to be part of history. And in the modern era, people have been convinced that history isn't something necessarily that's earned, but something that you can label. That's why I make the joke about how if you were a drag queen playing a violin with 8-inch stiletto heels in front of the Washington Monument, you'd be the first one in history to do that. Congratulations. But what does that mean? Is that useful at all? No. No, it isn't. It's not useful at all. Nobody cares. It's not helping anyone. It's not changing anything. It's not worthy of being remembered in history. Neither is the first female president of the US. I don't have a problem with a woman being president, but damn, be able to do the job. Be able to do the job. At least have no strings on you. This woman's got strings all over the place. Again, people may not realize it, but she's been in politics for 34 years. Her entire career has been in politics. And yes, Attorney General's office is political. Okay, because she started off as an assistant district attorney in 1990, I think. And Puck is here. He says if you voted for Obama, you should unregister. Well, you may not have much of a chance, as you see from the article that I've already pulled up here. Fox News article. The Oregon Department of Motor Vehicles admits it wrongfully registered hundreds of non-citizens to vote. Oregon DMV admitted on Friday to wrongfully registering at least 306 non-citizens to vote in U.S. elections. The DMV says the wrongful registrations have occurred since 2021 and were the result of a program that automatically registered anyone who obtained a driver's license or state ID. State officials say they expect to find more wrongful registrations ahead of the election day. And this is something that I've long had a problem with. And I've talked about this where my wife is concerned because she's been trying to unregister herself. In most places, I'm not sure if it's the entire country now, but in most places in the US, when you go to the DMV, they automatically register you to vote now. Without your knowledge or consent. They don't even tell you. They don't even tell you. And yeah, mistakes like this will happen. And they've had to admit to 306 errors, and they're going to have to find the other ones now, or at least put on a good show of looking for them. And this is going on in most states. And I've told the story before about my wife. She don't want to vote. She doesn't want to be registered. She doesn't want crap tons of political mail because they sell your information. And you get all this mail from political offices, mostly Democrats. We only just actually, I should say always Democrats, because we only just in the last couple of weeks started getting them from the Republican caucus. Republican-oriented mail trying to demonstrate to us to vote for Trump. I've never seen Republican mail. It's always been Democrat mail. Always. Okay. In Illinois as well as Georgia. And, you know, they sell your information. She doesn't want that. and they will not take you off unless you show up in person and fill out the paperwork. And she bounced back and forth for weeks trying to do it. Oh, you can't come to this office. You got to go here. You got to go this place on this day, and all of that. And then when she finally thought she had it sorted out and did the paperwork, they put her back on. They made it very difficult. They've made it almost impossible to get off. And I think that's a violation of her rights. If she doesn't want to be registered, leave it the hell alone. They force you to register so they can sit there and claim, oh, look, we have all these registrations. It's a lie. And then they screw up and they register illegal aliens by accident. That's great. JJ says, is the Oregon DMV doing anything about the accidental registrations? They're supposed to be removing them. They're supposed to be removing them. All People says, with the high number of non-citizens being hired into government and civil service positions in the U.S., it's not a surprise Oregon accidentally registered non-citizens. No kidding. No kidding. And that's how it is, unfortunately. But there we go. This doesn't surprise me. This is very unfortunate. It may be an error, but I'm sure it's one that they weren't trying to correct or cared about at all. I don't think they cared. They were like, oh, well, it was wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We'll let this one slide. I'm sure there's a hell of a lot more than 306 people that should not be registered that are. And yeah, the best they can do is take some of them off and make a show of it. How much of that can you trust? How much of that can you trust? And Jericho says, yeah, by accident, if voting worked, they wouldn't allow it. Like, who said that? George Carlin? I think that was a George Carlin quote, wasn't it? If it was, it might be older than that. I think I've heard George Carlin say it, but I think someone else said it before him. If voting actually worked, they wouldn't let us do it. They wouldn't let us do it. Now this, let me see if I can get this to run. If I can get this interview to run. I found this, and this is Jackson County, Kansas, I want to say. Jackson County, Kansas. And I just thought this was really interesting. And I want to share this video clip with you really quickly. And Tuck says, I don't know about you folks, but the DMV offices in my blue tri-county area are permanently corrupt. Goes back to at least the 90s. I'm sure it goes back further than that. And Fluke Man says, I guess Democrats hoping illegals will vote for them, but they only admitted accidentally signed them up because of a whistleblower, perhaps. Perhaps. So we're going to Jackson County here. Okay. This guy gets arrested for trying to pay his taxes. And it's hard to actually understand what the problem is here. I'm going to show you.
The building, there's a lady standing there. I said, ma'am, I need to pay my personal property tax. Where do I do that? She says, I need your ID.
Confused why he needed to hand over his license, Zach Neno was then told he was trespassing.
No, ma'am, I have business to attend here, and this is a public building.
Neno says he was trying to pay his personal property taxes and was told he needed to leave by a nearby officer.
This is a public building. You can't trespass me absent a crime, and I have business to attend here. And he reaches out to grab me, and I back up, and I said, sir, you have no reason to talk to me. I says, back up and I'll take care of my business.
So Neno walked to another window and took a seat. You see that happening here.
So I sit down, probably wasn't 2 minutes. Both officers come up, get right up to me.
Now, for those of you who can see, watch what's about to happen with this guy. And then I'll tell you what the charges are.
And say, sir, you're trespassing and creating a disturbance. You need to leave the building. I'm like, no, sir. The only one that created a disturbance was that officer right there. I says, I have business to attend to, pay my taxes. They reached down, grabbed me, stood me up, put the handcuffs on me. He said I was resisting arrest, spun me around, threw me on the concrete.
Now, there you go. This is the thing, okay? Now, you saw that Yeah, Jericho says if that was the case, I wouldn't pay it after that. Yeah, well, I mean, if it's property tax and he doesn't pay it, the state will seize his property and sell it in a sheriff's sale. So, I mean, he has to pay it. But this is the thing. He's being charged with resisting arrest. You have to be committing a crime and getting arrested to be resisting arrest, correct? Unless they're going to say it's a trespassing charge. But the main charge is resisting arrest. The guy took his wrist. He stood up. For those of you who can see, I know some people are just listening. He stood up. They turned him around, put the handcuffs on him, and then swung him onto the floor face down. He did not resist. And he was handled pretty rough. And this is an old dude. And he doesn't look like he's in very good physical condition either. It wasn't necessary to do that. And I hate the resisting arrest charge. It's right up there for me with wiretapping, like there even is such a thing as wiretapping anymore. The problem is that they throw wiretapping on practically everything because it's so vague, and they can throw an extra charge. Resisting arrest is the same thing. Naturally, if even a police officer grabs you, odds are there's going to be some natural form of resistance. And unless you're excessive, like you're wild and violent, I see no need for a resisting arrest charge every time they grab anybody. He wasn't resisting. I mean, he felt, again, you guys saw that. For those of you who are watching, saw that video clip. The guy took his wrist. He stood up. They turned him. They put his hands behind his back. He wasn't moving. Then suddenly he gets swung onto the floor, face down. Wham. Wham. Any ailment I had, I'd have claimed. This guy is old. He probably has lumbar problems. Oh, my back. Oh, my leg. It hurts every time I move it. Seriously. And Puck says lawsuit time. If he can afford it. If he can't afford an attorney, he's going to get a public defender and they're going to burn him. The public defenders are worthless. Okay? He would have to hire his own attorney. Again, how much justice can you afford? I've been through way too much of that with court myself, with my custody issues. Monkey says you wonder why people distrust police, but they still back the blue. And I don't have a problem backing police officers if they're going to do the job right. This is nonsense. And I understand his problem. Honestly, I would have just flashed her my ID and just been done with it. But he doesn't need to show his ID until he gets to where he needs to be, is what it is. Can I see your license? She's not the one who's going to be serving him. He doesn't know where to go in the building. He needs directions. That's all he asked for. So yeah, she really doesn't have a reason to ask him. But he could have nullified the situation and did not, because I get it, in his mind he's like, what the hell is this? I don't need to show anything. What are you talking about? Can you just tell me what office I got to go to? But that's how they treat you. This is how they treat you. Cruising says, tuning in work is insane. The schedule this year has them working most days from 2 to 3, but Coffee Talk still rocks. So I appreciate that, Cruising. I try. I try. And Puck wants to know if Jackson is a blue state. Well, is blue. I don't know. I mean, Kansas is pretty much a red state. I don't know about Jackson County. Jericho says, anyone that puts their hands on me, I'm not rag rolling. They should expect resistance from me, especially if I didn't do anything. And it's natural. It's perfectly natural for you to resist. It's a natural reaction. Even if they are law enforcement, people grab you, you're going to resist. I don't care if they have a badge. It's just normal. It's an involuntary reaction almost in a lot of cases. Like, hey, what are you doing? Back up, and you take a step back, or you pull away. Oh, resisting arrest. Resisting arrest. That's like that guy who got arrested a couple of years ago during the pandemic. I had talked about him. He was arrested for price gouging with medical masks, and the FBI confiscated his masks, and they were supposed to distribute them to hospitals, which is, by the way, completely illegal. To take somebody's property and just give it away like that. All right. And they never did anyway, because then the hospitals were complaining, where the hell are those masks at then? We didn't get shit. But they, because he was coughing, charged him with assault and battery because on a law enforcement officer, because he was coughing without covering his mouth. The man was in handcuffs. How the hell was he supposed to cover his mouth if he was coughing? And you don't know why he was coughing. Seriously? Assault and battery on a law enforcement officer. And I bet you the judge made that shit stick. And we're supposed to trust the judicial system. Yeah. Sure. Absolutely. But while we were on the subject of corruption, because somebody said something about corruption back there a minute ago, I'm going to find a story on corruption. Washington Examiner, New York City Chief Counsel quietly steps down as the FBI probes the Adams administration officials. There she is. She just quit and didn't say a thing. Walked away. Walked away. Smart woman. Top City Hall attorney to New York City Mayor Eric Adams resigned late Saturday as the mayor and his administration are facing growing scandals and a flurry of federal investigations. Adams' staff announced the departure of Lisa Zornberg without any explanation. She had advised Adams and other city officials on legal strategy for over a year, but did not serve as his personal lawyer. In a brief statement, Zornberg said she is deeply grateful to Mayor Adams for giving her the opportunity to serve the city, and she strongly supports the work he has done and continues to do for New Yorkers. In a resignation letter to Adams, Zornberg wrote, "It has been a great honor to serve the city. I am tendering my resignation effective today, as I have concluded that I can no longer effectively serve in my position. I wish you nothing but the best." And you already know that everybody associated with Mayor Adams is in trouble. They're all under investigation, or they're being arrested. Again, Bling pastor is sitting in jail for identity theft. Again, all of his chiefs, the New York City chief of police, who had to resign, who's under investigation, and his brother's under investigation, and homes are being searched and phones are being seized, and suddenly she just wants to walk, and she's the city attorney and the chief advisor. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder why she wants to get the hell out of Dodge. All people said he's arrested, previous story, for having a knee-jerk reaction to something that even a baby would have a knee-jerk reaction to encountering. Unbelievable. Yeah, like I said, it's a perfectly normal human reaction. And Tuck says they're terrified of the Federal Bureau of Biden investigation. Yeah, FBI, Federal Biden investigation. Puck says, on that note, watch out for FEMA to steal. Distribute your food and supplies during SHTF. Yeah, that won't get distributed. Watch Threads and see what happens to food distribution. Threads is hard to watch. British BBC production talking about nuclear war. And the local law enforcement, they confiscated stuff and they had emergency supplies, and they're like, no, we're not distributing anything. You can get on out of here. Sealed the gates, started beating people back. You didn't get anything. Screw you. This is what happens. Continuing on with Mayor Eric Adams, it gets even better. ABC News article, because ABC is so reliable now, right? Two retired New York Fire Department chiefs arrested for alleged corruption. That's right, arrested this morning. 2 now retired chiefs from the New York City Fire Department were arrested early Monday morning following a year-long corruption investigation, law enforcement sources told ABC News. Retired Chief Brian Cordasco was arrested at home on Staten Island. Retired Chief Anthony Saccavino was arrested at home in Manhattan, sources say. Saccavino and Cordasco reportedly abused their positions of trust as high-ranking officials in the New York City Fire Department by soliciting and accepting tens of thousands of dollars in bribes and payments in exchange for providing preferential treatment to certain individuals and companies, according to an indictment unsealed Monday in Manhattan federal court. The 2 men were chiefs with the FDNY, Bureau of Fire Prevention, which regulates the installation of fire safety and suppression systems in commercial and residential buildings. For nearly 2 years, the indictment said that Saccavino and Cordasco misused this authority for their own financial gain. The 2 allegedly accepted $190,000 in bribes in exchange for expediting inspections, according to the indictment. Nice. Nice. It says, quote, every member of the FDNY takes a sworn oath to conduct themselves honestly and ethically. Anything less will not be tolerated. Fire Commissioner Robert Tucker, who said over the post after the chiefs had already retired, or sat over the post, I should say, in a statement, the department will fully cooperate with any ongoing investigations. Keeping New Yorkers safe remains our top priority. Yeehaw. Everybody took an oath. I get so tired of hearing that. They all took an oath. Everybody took an oath. An oath is words. They are words that you were required to say, to recite in order to take a job. And the oath and the words are only as good as the person reciting them. If you recite it and you mean it, great. That's perfect. But most people recite it because they have no choice. It's something I have to say to get the job. I don't care what the words are or what they mean. And there you go. There you go. Nature Nerd says during the most disasters, you have to evacuate, making bug-in preps pointless. Example, you have a homestead in the mountains, but a forest fire makes you evacuate. Well, it's better to prepare for both, honestly, because you never know when you might get stuck. And Puck says corruption is a way of life for Democrats. And Tuck says, wonder what Angry Prepper thinks about this story. He's in the fire department, correct? Yes, he is. Who knows? You know what? I can guess, though. He's probably angry. He's probably angry. But there you go. There you go. And while you're on it, love the corruption stories. Let me see here. All People says, did you see the disabled old lady? A bunch of cops filmed themselves killing as they arrested her for public behavior. She was having a stroke. They added resistance to charges and mocked her as she died. I did not see that. I did not see that story. Puck says, dig deeper. These 2 probably went against the system at some point. That's when you get prosecuted. Could be. And then Tuck says, an oath without swift and harsh consequences for breaking it is worthless at best. And Cruising says, swear this oath or don't feed your family essentially means every oath is made under duress. Good point. Good point. So we get one more here for you while we're on the subject of corruption. Fox News article. Woke DA sued by his own office for allegedly protecting the ethics chief who's been charged with felonies. Oh, I love it. You got to love these people. It's amazing what they get away with, or what they try to. But you know, they wouldn't try to get away with it unless they knew that there was a strong possibility that they could. The union representing hundreds of Los Angeles prosecutors is once again suing their boss, District Attorney George Gascon, this time for withholding information on a close ally in alleged violation of the California Public Records Act. The Association of Deputy District Attorney sought information about Diana Tehran, a top Gascon aide who is facing felony charges in May and received an incomplete response, according to a 200-page court filing unveiled Thursday. Prosecutors sought her emails and information about whether she remained on the county payroll after her indictment. They also wanted to know if county taxpayers were on the hook for her criminal defense. Very likely, and that's probably why he's not answering the questions, even though he's been ordered to do so. The lawsuit seeks to force Gascon's office to disclose the requested records, to declare the DA in violation of the CPRA, and to pay the ADDA attorney's fees for the lawsuit and the denied requests. Quote, "These are public records, and the union and other members of the public have a right to this information. Good luck," said Niyama Rahmani, a Los Angeles-based former federal prosecutor who now runs a private practice. He said the embattled DA and county lawyers may be trying to delay damaging information from reaching the public until after Election Day. And that could be trying to stall until after Election Day because, you don't want the lawmakers to seem like they're not credible, right? Jericho says you should dedicate an entire session to just articles of corruption. Yeah, half of the thing today is corrupt politicians, corrupt lawmakers all across the country. It's crazy. It's crazy. But it seems like there's an article almost every day like this, somewhere in the United States, and it gets glazed over. It gets soon forgotten. It falls by the wayside, doesn't get noticed as well as it should. This is important. Why isn't it considered important? But we got to see fluff pieces. We got to see stuff about Taylor Swift in the news. We got to see them talking about how if you go to Barnes & Noble, she's on like 20% of the magazine covers. Not kidding. Go look. Why are they pumping her out on magazine covers all of a sudden? What's the big deal about Taylor Swift? Does anybody actually like this woman? Can you name a song? I cannot name a single Taylor Swift song, and I don't care to find out. I'm willing to bet I wouldn't like her music anyway. If it's modern music, I probably don't like it. I probably don't like it anyways. I should have done an update on the cats while I'm at it. Granny Smith is here now. I've got Granny Smith sitting under me, and then Daniel sitting in the chair behind me. Cruising says, "Corrupt monkeys Monday with Coffee Talk. When will these apes learn?" They don't have to learn because there's not enough consequences, apparently. And for every guy that you catch, for every lawmaker that you catch, every politician that you catch, or corrupt official, there's 20 that got away with it. So what's it changing? There's enough of them getting away with it that it's not likely to stop. It's not likely to stop. Tuck says, "Don't know her songs, heard a few. I found them annoying and forgettable." All People says, "Taylor Swift's parents coming from high-ranking banking families. Her career is tied to the CIA and Mockingbird media." Oh, no. Not that. Not that. And Puck likes cats. I don't blame you, Puck. I like them too. Still trying to iron things out with, I talked about it last week, iron things out with the shelter because I was supposed to bring them two fosters. And Prime Mover wants to see Kitty show and tell. Where's the monkey? Monkey's not in the room. I've got Granny Smith. Come here, baby. Come here. Come here. Come here. Good girl. Good girl. Okay. Granny Smith, everybody. There she is. There's my friend Granny Smith. How you doing, darling? How you doing, darling? She's a real sweetheart, actually. Follows me around and gets underfoot a lot. I'm always afraid, and she's pretty quiet. I'm always afraid I'm going to like kick her by accident because I don't want to hurt her. I don't want to hurt you, darling. There you go. Granny Smith, everybody. Daniel's sleeping peacefully, so I'll just leave him alone. But I do have some update on that because I've had more back and forth with the shelter because they screwed me over last week. I was supposed to bring them 2 cats on Thursday and make arrangements for the kittens, and they left me hanging. But I'll get back to that. Anyways, with that, we are at the top of the hour, so I will go ahead and start signing off. Again, you are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk, and you can find Coffee Talk on YouTube Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the monikers for that are at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on Fistful of Radio, there it is, .com, podcasting out of Atlanta. Prime Mover said, yeah, she's always licking me. She's a sweetheart, actually. She's turned out to be a real sweet cat. So with that, we'll go ahead and sign off. I will go ahead and, of course, say thank you to everybody who was able to join us here today. Sure hope you got